I always thought family meant having each other's backs, no matter what. That was until my brother Curtis stormed into my apartment on a rainy Tuesday evening, slamming a wedding magazine on my coffee table, hard enough to make my tea splash onto my laptop. $20,000, he announced, dropping onto my couch. That's all I need from you, Lucy. You've got savings, and this is important. I carefully wiped my laptop with a tissue, trying to process his demand. I'm Lucy Wise, and until that moment, I'd always been proud to call Curtis my big brother. We grew up sharing everything, from the last cookie in the jar to our deepest secrets. But standing there in my tiny apartment, watching him flip through that magazine like he was browsing a takeout menu, something felt different. Curtis, I can't, I said, closing my laptop. That money is for my business startup. You know how long I've been working on this. He looked up, his expression shifting from expectant to annoyed. Come on, Luce. It's my wedding. Natalia wants something special. And you know how mom and dad are always comparing us to the neighbors' kids. Their daughter had a destination wedding in Bali. I get it, but what? He stood up, towering over me. You're just sitting on that money, dreaming about some app that might never happen. This is real life, Lucy. Family comes first. I felt my chest tighten. My project is real life too. I've spent 2 years developing this platform. The prototype is almost ready. Oh yeah, your revolutionary social media thing, he scoffed. Meanwhile, I'm trying to build a actual future with Natalia. You remember her, right? The woman who's about to become your sister-in-law. My phone buzzed, a message from Veronica. Still on for dinner, got big news. I ignored it. Curtis, I love you and Natalia, but this is my future we're talking about. The platform could change how people connect during disasters. It could save lives. He paced my living room, running his hands through his hair, a habit from childhood that always preceded an outburst. You're being selfish, Lucy. Mom and Dad already contributed, but we're still short. This wedding needs to be perfect. Have you considered something smaller? I suggested, immediately regretting my words. Smaller? He laughed bitterly. Right, because that's what you do, isn't it? Think small, dream small, live small. He gestured around my apartment. Look at this place. While you're playing entrepreneur, I'm out there making something of myself. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? Having a sister who won't help when you need her most. He grabbed the magazine and headed for the door. I thought you'd understand. Guess I was wrong. Curtis, wait. The door slammed behind him, leaving me standing alone in my suddenly very quiet apartment. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Mom. Everything okay? Curtis just called, sounding upset. I sank onto the couch, my hands shaking as I typed, everything's fine, just a misunderstanding. Later that night, Veronica sat across from me at our favorite diner, pushing a plate of fries my way. He actually demanded 20 grand for a wedding. Yeah, I dunked a fry in ketchup, watching it droop. He made it sound like I'm betraying the family by saying no. That's ridiculous, she said, leaning forward. Your idea is brilliant, Lucy. Don't let anyone make you doubt that. I just keep thinking about what he said about family coming first. Family does come first, Veronica agreed. But that doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Besides, $20,000. That's not asking for help. That's asking for sacrifice. My phone lit up with another text from Mom. Coming over for Sunday dinner. Curtis has some exciting news to share. I should go, I said, showing Veronica the message. Keep the peace, you know. She grabbed my hand across the table. Just promise me one thing. Don't let anyone pressure you into giving up on your dreams, not even family. I nodded, but something in my gut twisted. Curtis's exciting news could mean anything, but knowing my brother, it wouldn't be small. He never did anything small. I won't, I promised. More to myself than to Veronica. My project matters too much to give up now. As I headed home that night, rain still falling softly on the city streets, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. The conversation with Curtis had cracked something in our relationship. and I worried the damage might be permanent. What I didn't know then was that this was just the beginning, that my brother's wounded pride would lead to a betrayal I never saw coming. Sunday dinner at my parents' house had always been a constant in our lives, but walking up the familiar front steps that evening, my presentation folder clutched to my chest, something felt off. Maybe it was the extra car in the driveway, Lyle's sleek sedan parked behind Curtis's BMW. Mom opened the door before I could knock. "Lucy, perfect timing. Curtis is about to share his big news." The living room was packed. Dad sat in his usual armchair, while Natalia perched on its arm, practically glowing. Curtis stood by the fireplace, looking unusually polished in a blazer. Lyle, our family friend and Dad's business partner, gave me a warm smile from the couch. "Before Curtis starts," I said, stepping forward, "I'd love to share something I've been working on." "Oh, honey, let your brother go first," Mom interrupted, ushering me to sit. "He's been so excited all day." Curtis cleared his throat, pulling out a familiar-looking folder. My heart stopped. Those graphics, that layout, they were mine. "So I've been developing this innovative social media platform," he began, and my world tilted sideways. "It's designed to connect people during natural disasters and emergencies." I couldn't breathe. Word for word, he was presenting my project. My 2 years of work, my research, my prototype. All of it coming from his mouth, like he'd created it himself. "The algorithm uses location-based data," he continued, showing my slides, "to match people with nearby resources and assistance." "That's brilliant," Dad exclaimed, leaning forward. "How long have you been working on this?" Curtis smiled smugly. "Oh, for quite a while. Had to keep it under wraps until it was perfect." "Curtis," I managed to choke out, "what are you doing?" He barely glanced my way. "I'm sharing my business venture, Lucy. You know, making something of myself." Lyle's eyes darted between us, his brow furrowed. "This is fascinating work. The technical specifications are quite detailed." "Well, you know me," Curtis laughed. "Always thorough." I stood up, my hands shaking. "That's my project. Every single detail, it's mine." "Curtis, you stole this from me." The room fell silent. Mom's smile faltered. "Lucy, what are you talking about?" "Show them your proof then," Curtis challenged, his voice steady. He pulled out a stack of dated documents. "Because I have everything right here: development timeline, prototype designs, even patent applications." I opened my folder, but my blood ran cold. The USB drive with my original files was missing. My paper copies. Where were my paper copies? "I can't believe you'd try to claim this as yours," Curtis said, his voice dripping with disappointment. "I know you've been working on something, but this is mine." "No, no, no," I stammered. "Mom, Dad, you have to believe me. I've been telling you about this for months." "Honey," Mom said gently, "you mentioned having an idea, but Curtis has actual documentation. Because he stole it." I turned to Natalia. "You've heard me talk about this project. Tell them." Natalia shifted uncomfortably. I remember you mentioning something about social media, but Curtis has been so passionate about this." "Lucy," Dad's voice was stern, "this is a serious accusation. Curtis has proof. Where's yours?" My eyes burned with tears. "He must have taken it when he was at my apartment." "That's enough," Curtis snapped. "I came to share something important with my family, and you're trying to ruin it. This is exactly why I needed to keep it secret. I knew you'd try to take credit." Lyle stood up suddenly. "Perhaps we should all take a breath." "No," I grabbed my purse. I can't be here right now." I ran out, ignoring Mom's calls behind me. In my car, I screamed, pounding the steering wheel until my hands hurt. My phone buzzed, a message from Curtis. "Nothing personal, sis, just business." Another message followed, this one from Lyle. "Come by my office tomorrow. We need to talk." I drove home in a daze, my mind racing. The missing USB drive, the disappeared papers, It all made sense now. Curtis hadn't just wanted my money for his wedding. He'd wanted everything. Back in my apartment, I opened my laptop with trembling hands. My heart sank further. All my files were gone, completely wiped. But Curtis had made one mistake. He didn't know about my cloud backup, the one Veronica had insisted I set up months ago. It wasn't much, but it was something. I picked up my phone and called Veronica. "Hey," my voice cracked. "Remember when you said not to let anyone make me give up on my dreams? Well, I'm going to need your help fighting for them." Lyle's office felt like a sanctuary compared to the chaos of the past 24 hours. He sat across from me, examining the cloud backup files I'd managed to recover, while I clutched a cup of coffee that had long gone cold. "These timestamps," he said, pointing to my screen. "They predate Curtis's documentation by months. That's significant. But not enough, right?" I set down my untouched coffee. "He has paper trails, official documents." "Forged documents," Lyle corrected, leaning back in his chair. "Look, Lucy, I've known your brother since he was a teenager. He's always been ambitious, but this," he shook his head, "this is different." My phone buzzed. Another message from Mom. "Family brunch on Saturday. Please come. We need to talk." "I can't face them," I said, showing Lyle the message. "They all think I'm the liar." "Then let's prove them wrong." He pulled out a legal pad. "Curtis is planning to announce the project's launch at his wedding. That gives us 3 weeks to build a case." The door opened and Veronica burst in, carrying a stack of papers. "Sorry I'm late, but I found something interesting." She spread the papers across Lyle's desk. "These are Curtis's bank statements from the last month. Look at these transactions." I leaned forward, scanning the numbers. "How did you get these?" "I'm his wedding planner's assistant, remember. He had to provide financial documentation for the venue deposits." She pointed to several large withdrawals. "These coincide with the dates on his patent applications." Lyle whistled low. "Bribes for rushed processing. Not exactly legal." "Neither is identity theft," I muttered, remembering how Curtis had somehow accessed my computer. My phone lit up again. Curtis this time. "Making big announcements at tomorrow's brunch. Don't embarrass yourself by causing a scene." "He's going public with it," I said, my stomach churning. "Tomorrow." "Perfect," Veronica smiled, "because I have a plan." The next morning, I walked into my parents' favorite brunch spot, wearing the confidence Veronica had helped me rehearse. Curtis sat at the head of the table, Natalia by his side, holding court like a king. "Lucy," Mom waved me over. "Curtis was just telling us about the investor meeting he has next week." I slid into my seat, forcing a smile. "Really? How interesting." "Yes," Curtis beamed. "They're very excited about the emergency response features. In fact, the neural network integration is particularly impressive." I interrupted, watching his face carefully. "Especially the way it handles data encryption during crisis scenarios." Curtis's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Yes, exactly." "Tell me," I continued, my heart racing. "How did you solve the bandwidth issues during high-traffic events? That was always a sticking point in the original design." Well," he loosened his collar. "It's quite technical, because I remember spending months working on that problem. The solution involved a unique caching system, didn't it?" The table fell silent. Dad looked between us, frowning. "Lucy," Mom warned, "we talked about this." "No, it's okay." Curtis recovered, smirking. "The technical details aren't important right now. What matters is that we're moving forward with the launch. In fact," he reached for Natalia's hand, "we're announcing it at the wedding. It'll be perfect timing. All our important contacts will be there." "That's wonderful," Mom clapped. "Isn't it wonderful, Lucy?" I took a slow sip of water. "Absolutely. Though you might want to delay that announcement." "And why is that?" Curtis's voice had an edge. "Because," I pulled out my phone, showing him an email. "I have a meeting with those same investors on Monday." Lyle set it up. "Funny thing about venture capitalists, they like to know if there are competing claims to intellectual property." Curtis's face went pale. You wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Tell the truth? I stood up, dropping my napkin on the table. You know, Curtis, you were right about one thing. Family does come first. That's why it hurts so much when they betray you. Lucy, Dad started, but I was already walking away. Outside, I leaned against the building, breathing hard. Veronica was waiting in her car across the street, just like we'd planned. How'd it go? She asked as I slid into the passenger seat. Phase 1 complete, I said, my hands still shaking. He knows I'm not backing down. Good, she started the engine. Because Phase 2 is going to blow his mind. As we drove away, I caught a glimpse of Curtis in the restaurant window, frantically typing on his phone. He thought he had 3 weeks until the wedding to figure this out. He had no idea what was coming tomorrow. My phone buzzed, a message from Lyle. Investors confirmed for 9 a.m. Get ready to show them what you've got. Game on, big brother. Game on. The investor meeting was set to start in 30 minutes, and I was pacing the conference room when Curtis burst through the door, his usually perfect hair disheveled. We need to talk, he demanded, grabbing my arm. Now. Lyle stepped between us. Remove your hand, Curtis. This is my office, and you weren't invited. Stay out of this, Curtis snapped. This is between me and my sister. Fine. I nodded to Lyle. Give us a minute. Once Lyle left, Curtis's composed facade cracked. What do you want? Money? Is that it? I'll split the profits with you. My own idea. How generous. I crossed my arms. Why did you do it, Curtis? Really? He ran his hands through his hair, pacing. You don't understand. Natalia's family. They're old money. Her father keeps asking what I'm bringing to the table. I needed something big. So you stole from me? I made it better. He slammed his hand on the conference table. You were just sitting on it, dreaming. I'm actually making it happen. By bribing patent officials. Real professional. His head snapped up. How did you? You're not as clever as you think. I pulled out my tablet, showing him Veronica's findings. Rushed applications, backdated documents, suspicious bank transfers. The investors will love seeing this. You'd really destroy your own brother. His voice cracked. Over some app. You destroyed our relationship when you stole from me. I stepped closer. But here's the thing you never understood, Curtis. This isn't just some app. It's a platform that could save lives. While you were focused on impressing Natalia's family, I was trying to create something meaningful. A knock at the door made us both jump. Veronica poked her head in. They're here. Curtis grabbed my wrist. Lucy, please, I'm begging you. This wedding means everything. For a moment, I saw my big brother, the one who used to defend me from bullies, who taught me to ride a bike. Then I remembered his smirk as he presented my work as his own. You should go, I said quietly. The meeting's about to start. He straightened his tie, desperation turning to anger. You'll regret this. Mom and Dad will never forgive you for ruining my wedding. Maybe, but I'll never forgive myself if I let you steal my future. The investors filed in. 3 men and 2 women in sharp suits. Lyle made introductions while Curtis stood frozen by the door. Mr. Wise, one of the investors, nodded to Curtis. I didn't expect to see you here. He was just leaving, I said firmly. Curtis's face hardened. This isn't over, he whispered as he passed me. The presentation went better than I'd imagined. I walked them through the platform's features, demonstrated the prototype, and explained the development timeline. When I finished, the room was silent. Impressive, the lead investor said. But we received a similar pitch last week. From your brother. Yes, I clicked to my final slide. About that. I displayed the evidence, my original timestamps, Curtis's suspicious transactions, and most damaging emails I'd recovered showing him downloading my files. This is concerning. Another investor frowned. Corporate espionage before the company even exists. I'm not here to damage my brother, I said carefully. I'm here because I believe in this project. I've spent 2 years developing it, and I can prove every step of that development. The lead investor leaned forward. Why should we trust you over him? Because I can answer any technical question about this platform. Every line of code, every design decision, I made them all. Test me. For the next hour, they grilled me on technical specifications, security protocols, and scaling strategies. By the end, they were nodding. "We'll need to do our due diligence," the lead investor said, standing. "But we're very interested. Though," she paused, "you should know your brother's wedding is becoming quite the talk of the business community. He's invited several key players." "I know," I smiled. "That's counting on that." After they left, Lyle handed me a glass of water. "You did good, kid, but Curtis won't take this lying down." My phone buzzed. A text from Natalia. "Need to see you. Coffee tomorrow? Alone?" "No," I agreed, showing him the message. "But neither will I." Veronica burst in, grinning. "Phase 2 complete. Ready for Phase 3? I took a deep breath, remembering Curtis's threat. He thought the wedding was his moment of triumph. He had no idea it was about to become his downfall. "Ready," I said. "Let's show my brother what happens when he underestimates his little sister." The coffee shop was quiet when Natalia walked in, her engagement ring catching the morning light. She looked exhausted, nothing like the polished image she usually presented. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, sliding into the booth. "Curtis doesn't know I'm here." I figured. I pushed a latte toward her. 2 pumps vanilla, extra foam, just how she liked it. "What's going on?" She wrapped her hands around the cup, staring into it like it held answers. "I found something in Curtis's home office last night. Documents, USB drives. They had your name on them." My heart skipped. And I looked. She pulled out her phone, showing me photos. "There's more. Bank statements, emails to some guy about rushing paperwork through." "Lucy, what has he done?" "He stole my project," I said quietly. "But you already knew that, didn't you?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I suspected. The way he suddenly had this brilliant idea, right after visiting you." She wiped her cheeks. "The wedding's in 10 days, and I don't even know who I'm marrying anymore." "Natalia, he's different lately. Aggressive, paranoid. Last night, he was up until 3, making calls, shredding papers." She leaned forward. "The investors turned him down, didn't they?" I nodded. "Yesterday. He threw a lamp at the wall when he got home." She pulled up her sleeve, revealing a bruise. I was in the way. "Oh my God." I reached for her hand. "Have you told anyone?" "Who would believe me?" "His family thinks he's perfect. Mine thinks he's their ticket to keeping up appearances." She laughed bitterly. "Do you know he mortgaged his house to pay for this wedding? Everything has to be perfect, he says. Has to make the right impression." My phone buzzed. "Curtis, where's Natalia? She's not answering her phone." "He's checking up on me," Natalia said, seeing the message. "He does that now." "Come stay with me," I offered, "or with Veronica." "I can't. The wedding." She straightened up, mask sliding back into place. "Speaking of which, are you coming? Do you want me to?" "Yes," she said firmly. "In fact, I want to help you." I blinked. "What?" "Curtis has a presentation planned for the reception. He's going to announce the project launch to everyone. Business leaders, investors, my family's connections." She pulled out a USB drive. "Here's everything I found in his office. Original files, the fake documents, everything." My hands shook as I took it. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I was raised to believe image is everything. But watching Curtis these past weeks." She stood up, gathering her designer bag. "Sometimes the perfect image hides something ugly. Maybe it's time for the truth." "The truth could ruin your wedding," I warned. "The wedding's already ruined." She touched her bruised arm. "I just needed a reason to admit it." After she left, I called Veronica. "Change of plans. We need to move faster." "What? Why?" "Because my brother's not just a thief, he's dangerous." I headed for my car. "Get Lyle. Meet me at my place in an hour." Back at my apartment, I plugged in Natalia's USB drive. Everything was there. Proof of Curtis's theft, his desperate attempts to cover his tracks, even emails threatening the patent clerk who'd questioned the application dates. My phone lit up. Mom, wedding rehearsal dinner tomorrow. Please come. Let's put this silly fight behind us. Another message followed from Curtis. Found my fiancé. No thanks to you. See you at rehearsal dinner, sis. Don't worry, I've got a special toast planned. I called Lyle. Curtis is planning something for tomorrow night. Good, he replied, because so are we. Veronica arrived with takeout and determination. Natalia just texted me the seating chart for the rehearsal dinner. You'll never guess who's at the main table. Who? The investors who turned Curtis down. All of them. She grinned. Apparently, they RSVP'd yes this morning. I stared at the evidence spread across my coffee table. Proof of my brother's betrayal, of his desperation, of his violence. The perfect, polished image he'd built was about to shatter. Tomorrow night, I decided, we end this at the rehearsal dinner. Why not wait for the wedding? Lyle asked. Because my brother's spiraling. The longer we wait, the more dangerous he becomes. I picked up Natalia's photos. I won't let anyone else get hurt. My phone buzzed one last time. Natalia, he's drinking again. Be careful tomorrow. I looked at Veronica and Lyle, my allies in this mess. Whatever Curtis has planned for tomorrow night, we need to be ready. We will be, Veronica promised, pulling out her laptop. Let's give your brother a rehearsal dinner he'll never forget. The pieces were in place. Tomorrow, Curtis would learn that some perfect images deserve to be broken. The private dining room at La Maison buzzed with pre-wedding excitement. Crystal glasses clinked, wealthy guests mingled, and Curtis worked the room like a politician. His charm dialed up to 11. Only I noticed his slightly unsteady gait, the way his laughs came too loud, too sharp. He's on his fourth scotch, Veronica whispered, appearing beside me with 2 champagne flutes. Natalia's been trying to water them down, but a crash from the corner made everyone jump. Curtis had knocked over a water glass, dark liquid spreading across the white tablecloth. Just adding some excitement, he announced, drawing forced laughter from the guests. Mom rushed over with napkins, her smile strained. Lucy, help me clean this up. As we blotted the tablecloth, she whispered, can't you two put aside your differences, just for the wedding? Before I could answer, Curtis clinked his fresh glass. Everyone, please take your seats. I have something special planned. My phone vibrated. Lyle. In position. Investors all here. Ready when you are. Curtis stood at the head of the table, Natalia rigid beside him. First, I want to thank everyone for coming, especially our distinguished guests. He nodded to the investors. Your presence means the world to us. Here we go, Veronica murmured. As many of you know, Curtis continued, I've been developing something revolutionary, a platform that will change how we handle crisis response. He reached into his jacket pocket, frowning. Reached into the other pocket. His face darkened. Looking for this, I stood, holding up a USB drive. Your presentation about my project. Lucy, Dad warned from his seat. No, it's okay. Curtis smiled. But his eyes were wild. My sister's just jealous. She's been trying to claim credit for my work. Your work? I connected the USB to the room's presentation system. Let's see about that. The screen lit up with emails. Curtis to the patent clerk, offering bribes. Curtis to a hacker, paying to access my computer. Curtis to various officials, backdating documents. That's not, he stumbled forward. Those are fake. The timestamps say otherwise. I clicked through more evidence. Just like the bruise on Natalia's arm says otherwise about who you really are. Gasps rippled through the room. Natalia touched her sleeve, self-consciously. You're drunk, Lucy, Curtis snarled. Security. They won't help. Lyle stood. Because I invited some other guests. He nodded to 2 men in suits. Meet David and Marcus from the FBI's Cybercrimes Division. Curtis lunged for the USB drive, but his alcohol-clumsy fingers missed. He grabbed my arm instead, squeezing hard. Let go of her. Natalia's voice cut through the chaos. She stood, shoulders straight. It's over, Curtis. I won't let you hurt anyone else. You? He released me, turning on her. You helped her? She didn't have to, I said. You did all the work yourself. Every desperate move, every threat, every lie. You documented it all. The FBI agents moved forward as Curtis backed away, knocking over chairs. Mom, Dad, he pleaded. You can't believe this. She's trying to ruin everything. Mom was crying silently. Dad just looked tired. Curtis, stop. Fine. He grabbed a champagne bottle, brandishing it like a weapon. You want the truth? Yes, I took her precious project. Because she was wasting it. She had this golden opportunity and was too scared to do anything with it. I made it better. I made it real. By stealing, by hurting people, I projected the last image, Curtis's bank statements showing the drained accounts, the desperate loans. You mortgaged everything for an image, Curtis, and now you've lost it all. Sir, one agent said firmly, please put down the bottle. Curtis looked around wildly, at the horrified guests, the investors shaking their heads, Natalia removing her engagement ring. I'm your brother, he whispered. You were, I replied. And then you chose this. The bottle slipped from his fingers, shattering on the floor. The agents moved in, reading him his rights, as they led him away. Lucy, Mom reached for me, but I stepped back. I have a meeting tomorrow, I said. With investors who believe in me, not just my image. I turned to Natalia. Need a ride? She nodded, gathering her purse. I'd like that. Outside, Veronica was waiting with her car. As we drove away, I watched the restaurant shrink in the rearview mirror, along with the perfect family image Curtis had tried so desperately to maintain. My phone buzzed one last time. Lyle, you did good, kid. Your parents will understand eventually. Are you okay? Natalia asked softly. No, I admitted. But I will be. Ahead, the city lights blurred like stars, guiding us toward whatever came next. Sometimes the truth hurts, but living a lie hurts more. Curtis had taught me that, in the end. 3 days after the rehearsal dinner disaster, I sat in my apartment surrounded by empty moving boxes. Natalia stood in my kitchen, making coffee like she'd lived there forever. Your mom called again, she said, sliding a mug across the counter. That's the 5th time today. I know. I stared at my phone's missed calls. I just can't, not yet. A knock at the door made us both jump. Veronica burst in, waving a newspaper. You're on page 6. Tech startup drama leads to arrest at high society wedding event. Great, I groaned. Just what I needed. Actually, Lyle appeared behind her. It is exactly what you needed. He dropped a stack of business cards on my counter. Every investor from that dinner wants to meet. Your brother's dramatic exit proved one thing. You're the real deal. My phone rang again. Dad this time. I let it go to voicemail. They'll keep calling, Natalia said softly. Trust me, I know. My parents haven't stopped since I moved out. Another knock, more insistent this time. Before I could respond, Mom pushed through the door, Dad right behind her. Enough, Mom declared. You can't keep avoiding us. I'll give you guys some space. Natalia grabbed her purse, but Mom stopped her. No, stay. You're part of this too. Mom set her bag down with determination. Lucy, we owe you an apology. I nearly dropped my coffee. What? We should have listened, Dad said, his voice rough. When you first told us about your project, when you accused Curtis, we chose to believe what was easier. Easier, I laughed bitterly. You chose to believe I was lying, that I was jealous, that I would try to hurt my own brother out of spite. Because the alternative was accepting that our son could do something so terrible. Mom's voice cracked. We failed both of you. Lyle cleared his throat. I should mention, Curtis took a plea deal this morning. He's facing 18 months, plus restitution. The room fell silent. Dad sank into a chair, suddenly looking old. Did you know, Natalia spoke up, that Curtis never actually read Lucy's full project proposal? He just saw the surface, the potential dollar signs. He didn't understand that it wasn't about money. Tell us now, Mom said. Please, help us understand. I took a deep breath, pulling up my presentation on my laptop. It started after that hurricane 2 years ago. Remember, when we couldn't reach Aunt Sarah for days. For the next hour, I walked them through everything. The platform's ability to connect people during disasters, the resource-sharing network, the emergency response integration. With every slide, every explanation, I watched understanding dawn in their eyes. This could save lives, Dad whispered. That's why I couldn't let it go, I said. Curtis saw dollar signs. I saw people like Aunt Sarah, desperate for help during a crisis. And now, Mom asked. Veronica grinned, pulling out her tablet. Now she has 6 investor meetings next week, 2 partnership offers, and the FBI's Cyber Crimes Unit wants to consult on security protocols. Plus, Lyle added, Natalia's joining the team as our marketing director. My parents turned to Natalia in surprise. What? She shrugged. I have a marketing degree and 3 years of experience. Just because I was engaged to Curtis doesn't mean I can't make my own path. Mom stood suddenly, pulling me into a hug. I am so proud of you, and so sorry. We both are. Dad joined the hug. Let us help make this right. My phone buzzed. A message from Curtis's lawyer. Client requests family visit. He's still your brother, Mom said, seeing the message. But that doesn't mean you owe him anything. I know. I deleted the message. Right now, I need to focus on building something good from all this mess. Veronica raised her coffee mug. To new beginnings. To truth, Natalia added. To family, Mom said. The ones who stand by us, and the ones we choose. We all clinked mugs, and for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I felt light. Curtis had tried to steal my dream, but he'd given me something unexpected instead. A stronger sense of self, a clearer vision of true family, and ironically, the perfect launch platform for my project. Oh, Veronica remembered something. The investors want to know what we're calling the company. I looked around the room, at Natalia's quiet strength, Veronica's unwavering loyalty, Lyle's steady guidance, my parents' belated but sincere support. Phoenix, I decided, because sometimes you have to burn everything down to build something better. Mom squeezed my hand, and I squeezed back. The truth had cost us our perfect family image, but it had given us something real instead. Sometimes that's the better deal. The Phoenix office buzzed with energy as our team prepared for the platform's launch. Screens displayed real-time data from our pilot program. Emergency response teams in Florida already using our system to coordinate hurricane relief efforts. Server load is stable, Veronica called out from her station. Social media's exploding with positive feedback. Natalia burst through the door, her marketing team behind her. Local news wants interviews. They're calling it the app that saves lives. My phone buzzed, a message from the prison. I'd been getting them weekly, but this one was different. Final release paperwork processed. Curtis Wise scheduled for release tomorrow. You okay? Lyle appeared at my shoulder, seeing my expression. Look, I showed him my other screen instead. A family in Miami had just used our platform to find emergency shelter during the storm. This is what matters. The office door opened again. Mom and Dad walked in, carrying boxes of coffee and pastries. Thought the team could use fuel, Mom said, but her eyes were on the success metrics scrolling across our main display. Are those real numbers? 10,000 downloads in the first hour, Natalia confirmed. Emergency services in 3 states have already integrated our system. Dad set down the boxes, moving closer to the screens. And those dots? Real-time assistance matches, I explained. Green means help requested, blue means help provided. Watch. We all stared as green dots turned blue across the map. You did it, he whispered. You really did it. My phone buzzed again. Curtis. Saw the launch news. We need to talk. He's been writing to me, I told my parents, asking to meet once he's out. What are you going to do? Mom asked. Before I could answer, our emergency alert system blared. Veronica jumped to her keyboard. Major flooding reported in downtown. Emergency services are overwhelmed. I watched more green dots appear on our map. Time to prove this works. Natalia, alert the media partners. Veronica, coordinate with emergency dispatch. Let's show them what Phoenix can do. For the next few hours, we worked as one unit. Our platform connected stranded residents with nearby help, directed resources where they were needed most, and gave emergency services real-time crisis mapping. Lucy, Lyle called out. Look at this. He pulled up a video someone had posted. A family being rescued from rising waters, the father crying as he hugged his children. We didn't know what to do, he was saying. Then someone showed us this app. That's why you wouldn't give up, Dad said quietly. This is what Curtis couldn't see. My phone lit up one more time. Curtis again. I understand now. What you built. It's not just an app. I'm sorry I couldn't see that before. Don't worry, I won't contact you again. I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed, "Thank you for understanding. Good luck, Curtis." "You're letting him go," Mom observed. "He let himself go," I corrected, turning back to our crisis center. "I'm choosing to move forward." Natalia appeared with her tablet. "News crews are outside. They want to know the story behind Phoenix." "Tell them the truth," I said. "Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best innovations." Speaking of innovation, Lyle interrupted. "The governor's old office is calling. They want to implement Phoenix statewide." I looked around at my real family, not bound by blood, but by choice and trust. Veronica coordinating rescues, Natalia handling press, my parents proudly watching it all unfold. This was what success really looked like. "Lucy," Veronica called out urgently. "Another family needs help. 3 kids, elderly grandmother. Send their location to Rescue Team 4, I directed, sliding back into crisis mode. "Natalia, get them on our priority list. Mom, Dad, either help or clear out. We've got lives to save." They chose to help. As night fell, we gathered around the main display, watching blue dots multiply across the map. Each one represented a person helped, a crisis averted, a family saved. To Phoenix, Veronica raised her coffee cup, and to the sister who wouldn't back down. To truth, Natalia added. To second chances, Mom said, squeezing my hand. I looked at the last message from Curtis, then deleted it. Some bridges stay burned, and that's okay. What matters is what you build from the ashes. To building something that matters, I said, raising my own cup, and to the family that helps you build it. Outside, sirens wailed as another storm approached, but inside Phoenix headquarters, we were ready. Because sometimes the worst storms show you exactly who you are and exactly who stands beside you when the rain falls. The screens flickered with new alerts, and we all turned back to our stations. There was work to do, lives to save, and a future to build. One emergency response at a time.